Hello, welcome to Jenny's Food Network. Alright, I have deboned the chicken. So I had transported to this container. It's all meat now. And I threw out the bones already. So now to check back on here, I have put in the purple potatoes already. As you can see, it had darkened my soup, okay? The purple potatoes will darken your soup. Like I said, I normally don't use purple potatoes. This is my first time. I just happened to have it because my mother-in-law gave it to me. So next time I'm going to tell her, sorry mom, I don't want it. You can have it. Makes everything turn purple. But in antioxidant wise, dark color, like dark blue, dark purplish type of fruits and vegetables are supposed to be like really high in antioxidants, you know, which are vitamins and minerals. So if your meat is kind of chunky, you could always use a scissor and cut it up. There's a piece of bone. You could just cut it up just to break it up more evenly, okay? So there aren't such big chunks of chicken meat. So I'm going to go ahead and... So the potatoes, you just need to boil it for 30 minutes and that should be good. And I'm going to turn the heat back up again and I'm going to start putting the chicken in, okay? Next time I will make another tutorial using the russet potatoes or the red potatoes, making the cream of potato soup. It'll give it a nice color, not a purple soup. Even though the purple potatoes might be more highly nutritious than the red potatoes and the brown russet potatoes, but you just sacrifice a dark color soup. So I'm stirring right in. Well, now that I had already put the potatoes in, and now I'm putting the meat back in after removing the bones, I'm going to go ahead and start seasoning it now, okay? I usually like to use Vegeta seasoning. Usually comes in a blue package. Alright, for this pot size, for this portion, I usually start off with 2 tablespoons. 1, 2. And then I'm going to go ahead and start. When you make cream of mushroom soup, when you make a cream soup, you know, cream of mushroom or cream of potatoes soup, give it some room. Don't add too much water. Add water halfway only, because part of the recipe you're going to add milk in it. I usually like to add whole milk. Okay, the reason why I use whole milk is because even though it's more fat content in it compared to 2% milk, 1% milk, and fat-free milk, the whole milk has more nutrients in it, okay? Because the skim milk and the 1% milk, the fat has been so removed that part of the nutrients have been taken out of it as well. So I'm just stirring it right now. Stirring the seasoning. But if you're lactose intolerant, you know, I've known some people who are lactose intolerant. Like Freddie is pretty lactose intolerant, and the way I do my bakery and the way I cook my soups, you know, when I use dairy, he seems to be perfectly fine. Luckily, it's not turning my soup too purplish, because that would have been really gross. Even beets are known to be very highly, like, you know, it stains a lot. You touch beets, oh my goodness, your fingers turn red for a while. Okay, and I also add some fish sauce in it. Just dab some on top. I don't like to do measurements. I like to just go by, you know, just some drizzles of it on top. And then you do a taste test. So I'm going to go ahead and stir that. I'm going to go ahead and get some whole milk and add some milk in there. Okay, here I have a 1 cup measurement here. I'm gonna go ahead and add 1. Normally I don't use a measurement cup, but since I'm doing a tutorial, some people really want to see measurements, so, that's why I'm using a measurement cup this time. Normally I don't use measurement cups. 2 cups. 3 cups. If you are lactose intolerant, you could use coconut milk or almond milk as well, or you can use soy milk. Or you could also use rice drink, which looks like rice milk, but usually it's labeled as rice drink when you go to the grocery store. So it turns your soup kind of white, right? Thank God the purple potatoes didn't make it look too purplish, like food coloring, because that would have been really gross. So, kind of makes it look interesting though. It kind of gives the soup little like color of chunks in there. So stirring the milk in. Now I'm going to go ahead and do a taste test, okay? Once I'm satisfied with the taste, that's when I'm going to add in the all-purpose white flour, okay? This is gluten. If you cannot handle gluten, then you need to get gluten-free flour, and gluten-free stuff are pretty expensive. So you decide what you want to do. This is what helps thicken it up, okay? You can use cornstarch, but I think cornstarch causes a lot of clumps, you know, but I think this is better. Alright, I'm going to do a taste test right now. I'm not going to put the spoon, if I'm serving it to other guests, you know, and stuff, so I'm not going to put the spoon in my mouth. I'm just doing a taste test to let it drop in my mouth. Because people aren't going to want you to put your mouth all over it, so I'm going to cover it back up to heat up. It's on high right now. So I'm going to do a taste test to see if I'm satisfied with the taste. Okay, I'm going to add in another tablespoon, which will be a total of 3 tablespoons. I had put in 2 tablespoons already. Now I'm going to use 1 more to make it 3 tablespoons of red cheddar seasoning. I'm going to add another little drizzle of fish sauce. If you feel like you've made it too salty, then add some more milk in it or water. I always use filtered water, okay? Don't use that nasty sink water, unfiltered. It's got a lot of chemicals in there. There could be rusted pipes down there. It's slimy pipes, and you're going to drink that. Make sure you use filtered water. There are people out there who don't filter their water from the tap. It's disgusting. That can be very harmful in your body over the years. It can cause illnesses or build up some kidney stones in you. Alright, stirring that up just to break down and get that flavor of that vachetta seasoning in. Alright, here goes another taste test. I'm going to cover it. Be careful, the soup could be very hot. Don't burn your tongue. I've done that before. Alright, so far the soup is pretty good. And once I add the all-purpose flour in there, then you could taste it again and see if you want to adjust more. Okay, so we're going to let this boil for a bit, get hot again, okay? It's on high right now. So for this one, don't put it in directly in here because the soup is very hot. It can start causing it to clump, and you'll end up having like chunks of like, you know, of dough in there. Cooked dough. So you don't want to do that. You have to mix it with water or milk. I don't want to dilute my soup with water. I want more milk base, so I'm going to dilute this with the whole milk with some of this. I'm going to start with 1 cup, okay? One time I had used 3 cups of this. It was just way too much thickness in my soup, you know, so I had to use 1 to 2 cups at a time. So, and I always use different size pots, you know, so it varies. So this is the same container I used for the chicken. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get, okay, here's the bones. I'm gonna put that to the side. I'm gonna throw it out soon. Okay, here goes a 1 cup portion. One second. I'm going to use the same measurement cup that I had used for the milk. So I'm going to put 1 cup of it in here. And I'm just going to add some milk just to be able to mix it, okay? Don't use too much. So I'm going to go ahead and stir it. What I'm doing is that I'm stirring it to mix in the flour, okay? You don't want to put the flour directly into the hot pot. It's going to cook it, and you're going to have chunks of like cooked dough in there. It's going to be gross. So it's getting thick again, so I need to add more milk just to break it up real nicely to a like liquid form. It's still too thick to throw in, okay? This is the same process that I use to, that I usually follow to make clam chowder as well. So this is the same process. Clam chowder, you can add potatoes in there if you like as well. So it's still too thick. Okay. So this is almost like making clam chowder. Okay, this is a much better texture to use. Stir it up real good, make sure there aren't any more big chunks. It's not going to be perfect, okay? It's not going to be very perfect unless if you use a hand mixer machine. It's almost like a cake mix almost. Alright, this is good. It's almost like a watery cake mix, or like a pancake mix. Alright, so let's go back to my pot. It's starting to boil a little bit. Okay, as I go in, I'm going to go ahead and stir it. There's my purple potatoes and meat in there, garlic and ginger, with my vegeta seasoning and some fish sauce. Now I'm ready to add in the whole milk mixed in with the flour mix to thicken it up into like a clam chowder thickness or cream of potato mix. So I'm gonna stir it. I'm gonna stir it as I go. Okay, I'm gonna stir it while letting it drip slowly. Big chunk. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna cover it again. And I'm gonna do like another cup, okay? So while it's cooking in here, it's gonna thicken up a bit. So I'm gonna do another one. I'll just do another one. All right, here goes another cup of flour, of white flour. It's boiling very fast right now. I'm going to turn it down. I'm going to go ahead and stir it just to make sure that it won't burn the bottom. Okay, it's starting to thicken up a bit more. All right. Okay, now I'm going to put on medium. Okay, now back to this. We're going to add one more cup back in here again. We'll use that much milk so far. Stir that up. Pour the remaining milk in there. All right, so I guess when you use 1 cup of flour, use 1 cup of liquid. That works pretty good. Okay. All right, here we go. Second round. Stir it and let it drip down slowly so they don't clump up. So for a big pot like this, 2 cups of flour and 2 cups of milk is good to make the mix. To give it that clam chowder texture or soup thickness, or the cream of potato soup thickness. Otherwise it's going to be very watery. You could add a little bit of black pepper as well if you like, but since I have children, Keo always complains about it being too spicy, even with a little black pepper, so I don't no longer use black pepper in the soups that the kids eat as well. I'm going to do a little bit of soup taste test to see how it tastes now, to see if I need to do any more adjustments on seasoning it. When your soup cools down, your soup will be a little thicker as well, okay? So far the soup tastes pretty good. I'm not going to add any more stuff for now. I'm going to let it go for another 20 minutes, simmer cooking it, to really cook the flour mix in there better. And I'm going to do another taste test after that. These potatoes seem to be just like the purple potatoes seem to be just like the red potatoes, where they're less starchy. They're not as starchy as the brown russet potatoes. That's why they don't break down into like more like soup, you know, or like mashed potatoes. You see how it's still in chunks right here? So if you want it to disintegrate more, to break down into the soup where it becomes like soup, then you need to use the brown russet potatoes, okay? But these purple potatoes don't seem to be breaking down at all. So they're just like the texture of the kind of starch level as the red potatoes. Like they'll still be intact, you see? They're not as starchy as the brown potatoes, which breaks down like soup. The mashed potatoes become almost like, the brown potatoes become almost like a thick soup. But these are still intact. Okay, I've stirred it pretty good now. I'm going to go ahead and let it cook for another 15-20 minutes. And I'm going to do a taste test. And that will be a cream of potato soup. Don't worry, I'll do more tutorials on this type of soup. Thanks for watching.